Hey y'all. So I'm on my lunch break and I just took a break right before I went on my lunch. So I'm not even hungry. So I was like, ooh, what should I do? And I'm tired. So I was like, I could take a nap. But I wasn't finna play myself like that because somebody be knocking on my window an hour and a half because I wouldn't wake back up. So I said, ooh, today would be a good time, especially with these little snake bites on my face, to come to y'all humbly as I know how, to tell you that story that I had said a while ago that I was gonna share. Now it's hot out here. Well, it's not really that hot, but I got my windows down. I'm in this parking lot, so I don't know what y'all may hear, but just stay with me, okay? Part of my hesitation about sharing was not even like about sharing. It was just about how to tell you the story because it's endured for so long. But I can't be before you long because I ain't got long to be before you. So we gonna figure this out. So my story is about Jesus, therapy, and peace. So yesterday I was commenting on a Facebook post about, not even related to the story, but you'll see how it connects. So it was about people, Lord help, about people, the way that they respond to the Facebook post. You know how you can like or heart and care and all that stuff. And so some people like are offended or just annoyed. I won't say offended. Are annoyed if everybody responds one way and here you come just liking it. And I responded like, because I was one who would do that, and had been for a while. But there was somebody else previously who had posted something similar. So I stopped doing that because I didn't know that anybody thought a way about that. And so in the conversation about that, she says to me, because I basically was like, I be unbothered. And so I don't be expecting other people to be bothered. But my perspective is not the only perspective. You know, other folks. So I be trying to govern myself accordingly once I realize that something that I'm doing might be offensive to somebody. Because I don't want nobody getting the wrong idea. And she was like, yeah. And I had said something about not having any haters. And because I don't think that way. But she was like, everybody got haters. Like somebody, and she said she was speaking about me specifically. Somebody is upset about your peace. Somebody is upset that you love yourself as much as you do, and so on and so forth. And that really, really resonated with me. Really, I took it to heart because, as I said in the beginning, oh, let me take these glasses off. Oh no, let me put them back on because I can't even hardly see. So I had said that Jesus, therapy, and peace. And I've been off work since December 17th. I went on an extended leave of absence. I was gone for 3 months because I was severely clinically depressed. Burnt out, just burnt. I was so tired just of everything. And the Bible talks about often, you know, God's prophets, not saying that I'm a prophet, but people of God being so oppressed by life that they despaired of life. And I had read scriptures like that all the time, but didn't understand what it felt like to despair of life. It was, for me, I was never suicidal simply because I didn't have the energy to be suicidal. Like you would have to make a plan and then like execute it. And I didn't have the strength. Like, okay, and I'm not making light about suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts. I literally was like, I want to die, but I can't make it happen. So God, can you just come get me? Can you come get me? Can you please come get me? And every day I will wake up and be like, dang. Wake up disappointed. Mind you, this is COVID. Folks is leaving here every day. You know, we done lost, by that point, almost 1 million people just here. Not even talking about worldwide. So, And I'd be like, every day I wake up and be like, well, God, thank you for keeping me. You didn't have to do it, but you did. And just be disappointed. You know that nursery rhyme prayer that says, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take, right? I was like, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I think that would be really great. Like, that was really, really how I felt in my heart. But I wasn't praying those kinds of prayers. I was still praying oh, thank you, God. Because I know I'm supposed to be grateful. I know I'm supposed to be happy. I know how blessed I am factually, but I couldn't feel any of it. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't function. I couldn't function at all. Like, and I would be so overwhelmed with basic daily things. Like, I have to go to work. And I would be so stressed out. I would be crying in the middle of the night. Like, it'd be 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm just up looking like in a couple hours I'm gonna have to get up and go to work. And I'm just freaking out about that and just crying. And it got to the point where I couldn't even pray. I would just be like, God, and would cry. And I think those were some of the most honest prayers I've probably ever prayed, because I was in the pit. I was so far down. I mean, I've been there so long, I can feel like up to be. Like, I mean, as bottom of the barrel as one could get. I was scraping it. And what I learned was that I had been depressed. This is, if not the majority of my life, at least 2/3 of it. That is the majority, ain't it? Okay, I don't math good, but the point is the point, okay? I was depressed, and I didn't know until I was in absolute crisis. My boss pulled me into the office and was like, and it was nothing but the Spirit of God. And here's how I know. He had the whole binder, the attendance binder, because I'd be late every day. Like, and not like my normal late, because I'm just a habitually tardy person. It's something I'm working on. But, I'd be late every day. But this is abnormal late. I'd be like, 5-6 minutes late. I'd be like 30 minutes late, 27 minutes late, 43 minutes late. And he's like, okay. He could be writing me up. He did a couple times, and I'm like, well, you're just gonna have to fire me because I don't know what to tell you. See, now they over here cutting up in this parking lot. Look here, I'm gonna tell my story, all right? Anyways, so he pulled me into the office, had the whole binder and a thing, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna get fired. And I couldn't care. Like, consequences didn't mean anything to me. Nothing meant anything to me. Nothing. Nothing even mattered at all. And so he pulled me into the office ready. I mean, he had the other manager, like, for a witness and everything, was ready. Had the binder there. And he went to open it and he couldn't open it. And he was like, okay, is something going on? Like, are you okay? And I broke down because no, actually, very not okay. Not okay at all. I couldn't K. So I'm sobbing, and they was like, well, what is it? What is it? Like, is it the schedule? Can we change the schedule? Like, is it that you're having difficulty coming in at a certain time? Like, maybe we can. I'm like, you can schedule me at any time in the day, and I will be late, because it's the coming here that is driving me crazy. Like, I would get physically ill. I had such anxiety about just the stress of working through COVID, keeping my head down through COVID, trying to make sure I kept my mom safe, and just, I internalized it a lot, because it was like, I'm the threat, because my mom didn't go nowhere. She was doing everything she was supposed to do, but I had to go out. to a pharmacy. And so I'm like, it was hard. And then once the regulations started lifting, and, masks and the vaccines came and all of that, when like normal started coming back, I couldn't push anything else down. Like there was no more rug. There was no more space under the rug. And so I took like a week off, and that was in like June. I took a week off. I booked myself a hotel by myself just to reset, to have myself like by myself in a new space, just to chill. That worked a bit. And then mandates came for the vaccines for like, I think it was like LAUSD or something. Come October, I was miserable. Like I was stressed. I was short. I didn't recognize myself. Like my personality, I'm like, I felt trapped in my own self. Like I would say stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, why would you say something like that? So I'm constantly arguing with myself, constantly feeling guilty, constantly feeling inadequate, constantly drained, constantly just at zero. I was at absolute zero. Dust, not even fumes, dust. So when he called me into the office, I was like, yeah, I need some time. But I didn't know how to do that. I didn't even have the presence of mind to know that was an option, to just not come. Like, how do I do that? And so the other manager, showed me how to take a medical leave. So I got with Kaiser, and the way that you get leave through Kaiser is if it's not, like, I didn't have high blood pressure or anything like that. So it was a psychiatric leave. And so I was already in therapy, thank God, before this. I started therapy, I think right before how old am I? Third? What year is it, child? I don't know. 30. So that was what, 2018? The beginning of 2018. For my 30th birthday, I started therapy. My church has a counseling center, licensed therapists and everything, but it still can be faith-based. So I started at my church because at that time I had just come out of like a depression. I didn't know what it was at the time. I had not.
You know it's hot out here, right?
Yeah, I know, David. That's why these windows is down. You out of here?
Oh yeah, I'm out of here.
All right, you be blessed. So, yeah, I had come out of something where I felt like, okay, I'm in a position where I could try to get help for the next time, because I have these cycles and I just felt them. I never knew what they were. And I took like a BuzzFeed article quiz, and it was like, 10 signs you might be depressed or something. And so I'm reading the quiz. I'm like, okay, yeah. Wait a minute. So this is not normal? Like, this doesn't happen to other people? Y'all don't have this happening? And so, like, all of them, I was like, yes. So I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm depressed. I'm not depressed. I'm not sad. I don't feel sad. I'm not sad. I laugh all the time. But I didn't know at the time that depression is not just sadness. And so that was in 2018. I was like, okay, when I started feeling like I was coming out, I'm like, let me try to get myself secure so that I can already have somebody like on call before something crazy happens. And so I got with the therapist at my church, and that was great. And I was doing well. And actually, you know what? I don't think it was 30. It was 2020. It was February. It was February of 2020, because Kobe had just died. And I was doing what you call it? I had an appointment and I didn't go because I would have had to have gone through downtown, because my Kaiser is at Kaiser Sunset. So I would have had to gone through downtown for the memorial service that they had at Staples, and so I canceled it. So yeah, it was 2020, not 2018. So I was 32. And anyways, so I had everything in place already. Then COVID happens. But I'm in a great place. I mean, the beginning days of COVID, it was really stressful because this existential threat that no one really understood at the time, and I'm still having to go out to work with no supplies. We didn't have no mask at the time. We didn't have hand sanitizer. We didn't have gloves. I had a sign with paper towels that said, please use the paper towel for the keypad. And I had people still using their fingers to touch the keypad, and then would take the paper towel and wipe their hands. And that's when I knew this was going to be a long journey, because why would you think that's what that meant? But anyways, so I was flourishing personally, even though I was still stressed externally. Like, I was getting things together. I started editing my film. I started doing all these things. And so I'm like having a really great time personally, but just really stressed out professionally. And then it slowly just turned on me. And so, yeah, it got really, really rough and really, really dark. And I was just like, you got to come get me. Like, Jesus, you got to come get me. And I thought that meant come get me and take me to heaven. And I would have been fine with that. I would have been fine. But here I am, not in heaven, talking to y'all about how he still came and got me. He came and got me in a way that I did not expect. I was in my room, again with my church. We have every New Year's Eve, like old school watch service, but we don't call it watch service. We call it the praise party. And so we watching online because, again, still COVID. We hadn't opened back up yet. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of feeling like this. And the Bible says that he has given us a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. And I'm like, I have a spirit of heaviness. I can feel it. I don't know. I'm heavy. So I'm going to praise my way out. I said, I'm not going into 2022 like I've been since 2020. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So in my room, online, I'm praising and I'm shouting and I'm like, whatever is on me is getting off of me. I don't know if it's a spirit. I don't know. Ow. I don't know if it's a spirit. I don't know if it's just mental. I don't know what it is, because at this time I did not have a formal diagnosis. I don't know what it is, but it's getting off of me tonight. I got my oil. I anointed my own self head with oil. I wiped my own self down. I prophesied with my body language, because I said, look, he ain't came. I've been praying almost a year. So perhaps I'm asking the wrong things, but what I know is something is changing today. Today I'm getting free. And so that's what I did. And when I was just on my knees, I shouted, I praised, I sang, I danced, I anointed, I laid down on that ground, and I'm like, I'm not getting up until this is off of me. And I got up and I felt lighter. And I'm like, okay, that's wonderful. Now, as I said, as a provision of being able to go out on leave, I had to see a psychiatrist. Now, that was New Year's Eve into January 1st. I didn't have a psychiatrist appointment until January 10th. January 10th, I got the formal diagnosis of major depressive disorder with persistent symptoms or something like that, acute anxiety disorder. And the amount of relief that I felt, I'm like, oh my God. It has a name. It has a name. Not only do it have a name, it has an ICD-10 diagnosis code. Like, it's billable. This is real. It's not imagined. Like, it's billable, okay? That's significant and verifiable. So it just felt so freaking good to be like, I know what's happening to me now. Because I just felt like I was failing. I felt like I was lazy. I felt like I was weak. I felt like I was an imposter. I felt like I was a letdown. I felt like I was, a failure. I felt inadequate and unworthy and like a waste. Now, again, like I said, logically, I know the receipts. I know that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I know that I am brilliant. I know that I am hilarious. I know that I am a joy to be around. But I couldn't feel any of that. I couldn't feel it. I couldn't feel anything but empty. And not just a regular empty, like a sucking emptiness, like a drain. You know, like when you make yourself a bath and you done and you pull the plug and the drain starts sucking all the water out of the tub. But imagine ain't no water left in the tub, but the drain is still sucking. That's the kind of empty that I felt. Oh, but God. Whew. I ain't gonna shout in this parking lot, but I'll probably go shout in this parking lot. So I'm like, okay, I got a diagnosis. So now I know what I'm free from. Because, mind you, like I said, it had left me on January 1st. But here it is, January 10th, and it has a name. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Depression and anxiety, okay. You can go. You're already done, right? And so they put me into 2 programs in order to be off work for the amount of time that I needed to be off work. So one was called IOP, which stands for Intensive Outpatient. That's what it's called. And then the other one was work stress. Now, IOP it's intensive. It was 3 hours a day, 3 days a week for 3 weeks. And the first part of the class is like group therapy. So you check in. They emphasize self-care, just being present with yourself, because I have an extremely avoidant personality. I don't like conflict. I don't like getting mad because ain't no telling what I'm gonna do when I get mad. So I'd rather just not go there because I don't want to go to jail. And I don't say that lightly. I had an incident. We're not going to go into that because I got to go back to work soon. But if it was not for Neftali Gutierrez, your girl would have had a whole different life trajectory, because I almost killed somebody in the 9th grade. But anyways, again, we're talking about my deliverance, okay? So we have the self-care and the check-in portion where you just get to feel how not alone you are. Like, I see, granted it's on Zoom, but every one of them squares was a part of me. Every one of them squares, our stories were completely different, was still some of me. Like, I could see me in every single person. And it was so comforting to be like, I am not alone. I'm not. And it's not just me. There's nothing wrong with me. It's common. Did you know that depression is the #1 cause of disability in America? If that ain't common, I don't know what to tell you. It's chronic. So I don't have to feel strange. Once I knew, child. And did you also know that most people who suffer with depression or any other type of mental illness, it takes them at least minimally 10 years of suffering in silence before they reach out for help? To get to your absolute zero. And I'm high functioning, right? I'm high functioning. So you would never be able to tell. And I gave an example during class or during IOP, and I was like, in this experience, I understood how someone like Robin Williams could kill themselves. I didn't get it before. Like, how can someone who brings so much laughter and positivity and great energy, who's so caring, how could Anthony Bourdain, how? You would never see it coming. And then I thought about myself, and I'm like, yo, if I had the energy to make a plan and leave here, people will be saying the same exact thing about me. Like, she was so funny. She always had an encouraging word. She was so blah, whatever. But I was empty. Aggressively empty. And so my time is running up, so I'll wrap it up here. But I guess my message here today is that prayer works, and so does therapy. And therapy does not make you any less, for those who are believers in Jesus, is not saying that his grace isn't sufficient. It's not saying that he's not the one who heals you. It's not saying that he's not enough. What it is saying, though, is that he uses all kinds of people to accomplish what he wants to do in the earth. The Bible says that he gives us counselors. Go to them. Go to them. Go to them. Also, too, I don't have no more because I just took my last ones. But they put me on Prozac. And I wasn't going to take it because I'm like, I'm healed. But I'm like, let me go on and be obedient and wash in the pool and, go and show the priest. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because, like I said, before any doctor said anything to me, Jesus told me I was healed. And so I'm like, okay, it's already done. I need to walk out the steps for the physical manifestation for me to really experience it. And let me tell y'all, child, they put me on this Prozac and I felt like I discovered colors. I'm like, you mean to tell, has this been life this whole time? Y'all been, what? I felt, that, it's a meme. I can't remember the movie, but it's Jason Sudeikis, Jennifer Aniston, and 2 kids. And somebody was like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. I'm only getting paid X amount of money. And the next person was like, you're getting X amount of money. I'm getting less than that. And the other kid was like, wait, y'all are getting paid? I felt like that kid. I felt like a kid who got fitted for their first pair of glasses and could see. And it was like, wait a minute. I've been lied to. I've been lied to this whole time. That's how I felt taking this medicine. So don't let nobody stigmatize you. Don't let nobody shame you, because in order for somebody to shame you, you have to participate. I don't feel no shame. I'm not ashamed. I am not ashamed of the gospel. I am not ashamed of my Prozac, baby. 2 o'clock, 20 milligrams every day. Because, colors are beautiful. I like them. I do. I like them. So, the last thing I want to say is what Gabby, that's who the person I was talking to yesterday in the Facebook post, said to me was, about your peace. You don't think that your peace bothers restless people? You don't think that, your ability to be blessed and stay above doesn't bother folks? And like I said about your perception and the way you think about things, it's not my peace. So I couldn't see how it could bother anybody because it's available to everyone. Jesus says, my peace I leave with you. And I don't give like the world gives. So don't let your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. I don't have no peace. I don't have no joy. What I have is Jesus. Jesus gives me peace of mind. Jesus gives me joy, because even in my circumstances, which really haven't changed too much, being able to see things clearly now, being able to see that, wow, he really never left me. Wow, he really did what he said he was going to do. Wow, he really is awesome. Wow, he really did when I tell you, like dominoes, that everything came together. I had the perfect therapist immediately. We hit it right off. She was awesome. I had the perfect psychiatrist immediately with no wait. The appointment was very quick to get. I didn't have to wait. I have not paid a single cent. That's not common. It should be more common. That's a shade to our healthcare industry. But anyways, seeking mental health services is oftentimes really stressful, especially when you're in distress. Like, how do you even, I couldn't eat. I'd be sitting there hungry, but my kitchen, mind you, my apartment ain't but this big, but the kitchen just felt like an eternity away. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll just go back to sleep, and maybe I'll drink some water, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I gotta go look back in, but be encouraged. That's really all I have to say. God is good. He is faithful. And therapy works. Even if you don't feel like you're at absolute zero, even if you don't feel like you despair of life, if anything feels off, you could be having all kinds of thought distortions. Maybe your hormones or stuff is off balance. Maybe, any number of things could be going on. And for anybody to tell you, oh, it's just your brain, it's all in your head. Okay, well, if it's in my head, maybe I should do something about that. The head is kind of important. I mean, what would happen if you didn't have one? We not roaches who can live 14 days decapitated. If you brain dead, you dead. Is it not true? So take care of your brain. Don't let nobody make you feel no type of way. Don't let nobody shame you. Don't let nobody call you crazy. Because, baby, guess what? It would be crazy not to take care of yourself. You the only you got. You're the only you we got. Because one of the things that I really, really learned in group was how important every single one of us is. That there is a puzzle to all of our lives, and everyone that you come in contact with fits in to that puzzle some kind of way. Imagine if they don't show up. You're not whole, you're not complete, you don't have the full picture. So we need you desperately. Y'all need me desperately, honey. I'm valuable. And so are you. So take care of yourself. All right, I gotta go, because bills and capitalism. Love y'all. Bye.